Well, I have Ukraine is in my heart because my father was Ukrainian. I have Ukrainian family. And when the war started, my son and daughter both decided, they said, Mum, Dad, we've got to do something, we've got to help. So we started to collect aid locally. My son has an engineering business, so he had some space. And first of all, it was just maybe a carrier bag with some nappies maybe, or carrier bag with some toothpaste. And we were collecting aid and it just snowballed. So much aid came in that we could hardly move. But we'd made no plans at all how we were going to get the aid to Ukraine. So that was a big problem for us. We managed to find other groups who had already got a system going.
My first visit to Ukraine was about 2 months after the start of the war. I used to help at a homeless shelter and we had some sleeping bags that were left over and I brought them to donate, and then I signed up to the volunteers team, and 2 weeks later I was in a van, driving a van full of aid to Ukraine, and we donated the van as well.
I had heard, when the war started, I had heard of the situation and it was in my mind, and purely by chance I met someone in London in England who I hadn't seen for 40 years, and we talked and he said, "What are you doing now?" And I said, "Not much," and he said, "Come and help with Ukraine." So I went on a trip and I am still here now with Anne and John and all the other volunteers because,
This bus is one of our latest and biggest projects. It all came about almost by accident. One of our founder members heard about this bus. It was a charity bus, but the charity has gone out of business. They were trying to sell the bus, but weren't able to sell it. We thought at first that we might be able to get the bus for free, but then, and it was heartbreaking to know that it was going to be smashed to pieces and just used for scrap. So with the help of Sergei Ivanchuk, the Ukrainian opera singer, we've put some teamwork together.
Through Anne and John and Dave and Macclesfield Aid, they heard that this bus was going to be scrapped and made a big effort to purchase the bus. And then with help of Sergei the singer, we purchased the bus and were able to fill it with aid for all the invalid children and the people who are desperate for clothes and bedding, and we've come and distributed it out to various outlets. And now
we also decided, or we heard, that cars were very necessary in Ukraine. So we started to appeal for cars. A lot of local people gave us their cars for free, but that doesn't happen so much these days. But we buy cars for Ukraine, we fix them up sometimes if they need it, and our volunteers drive cars into Ukraine. And to date, I think we've driven maybe 222 cars into Ukraine. Next week we have another convoy going with a truck and a pickup truck and a 4x4, so we're just so busy all the time.
About the bus, well, the bus is a special project. It's something that we were looking at bringing a large hospital or ambulance vehicle across for some time, and the Across charity was closing down, and one of our members heard about this. We managed to buy the bus at a very good price. We matched the price for it just being sent to scrap, which is great. And this project, we have linked up with Sergei Ivanchuk, the singer, and it's a brigade that he knows that this is being delivered to. And on the way, we have delivered aid to 4, maybe 5 different locations. So we've also brought quite a lot of aid for children's centres and an old people's home and a hospital.
We've delivered lots of toys and educational help to a children's centre. We've delivered a lot of, I don't know how many, maybe 10, 12 very expensive, very specialised mobility aids for a children's centre in Olevsk, near here. We're very proud of doing this. We've had 4 volunteers travel on the bus. The driver, who you might meet shortly, is called Dave. And he has been for many, many years the regular driver of this bus. He's been taking parties of children to visit Lourdes. He's been taking parties of disabled people to go on skiing trips. And at the moment he is converting cars such as a Nissan Pathfinder. He converts them into casualty evacuation vehicles for the armies for very quick responses. So the soldiers are able to rescue injured soldiers where a normal ambulance wouldn't be able to reach.
My first visit to Ukraine, although I've driven around lots and lots of European countries, but my first time in Ukraine, yes. Well, I used to drive the coach for the charity that owned it previously, this Cross charity here. And the charity's closed down, and when the charity was closing down, I knew they would be getting rid of the coaches. So I knew a guy in Macclesfield Ukrainian Aid, so I got in touch with him and said, you've got to go for these coaches. I've always been very impressed with the Ukrainian military forces and the fighting, always been very supportive of that, wanted to do something to support it further. It felt like a great thing to do. So the coach was used to take people with extra needs on holidays around Europe, but with the stretcher beds and the lift that we've got on board, it'll be ideal also for evacuating injured soldiers using the same stretcher beds and the same lift.
We really, really hope that this will save lives. I mean, the first thing is, please don't think that people have forgotten about Ukraine. And I want you to know that there is so much love and support for you out in the West. And at Macclesfield Ukrainian Aid, we try to form that into something practical and bring aid and also bring vehicles that are useful in so many ways here. The other thing that I would say is that I think since World War II, there has not been such a crisis in Europe. And it's a real shame that at the end of World War II, all the countries got together and decided to be respectful. And we've all had great lives since then. And this is the first real threat to that. And I am offended personally. I want a world where everyone has the same opportunities and the same advantages, and the world is moving forwards, not backwards. And that's why I'm prepared to put a lot of time into this.
Now, I'd like to tell the people of Ukraine that the people of Great Britain are still behind them and will always be behind them, because we believe their cause is just. And we believe they need as much help as we can offer. And we will carry on offering aid to the people of Ukraine. And hopefully we will see peace again soon in Ukraine.
We hope.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Slava Ukraine.
And I'm Slava.
Well, we're happy. Macclesfield Ukrainian Aid is really happy to help Ukraine. We want the good guys to win. And Slava Ukraini.
And I'm Slava.